Washington, CNN, our weekly roundup of the news, notes and chatter about the prospects for the next Democratic presidential race. The 2020 Democratic presidential race now officially has its first candidate, Maryland Representative John Delaney. The third-term congressman announced his plans to run for president in a Washington Post op-ed Friday afternoon. Delaney, 54, won't run for re-election and is bypassing a run for Maryland governor in 2018. Let's be honest here, more than anything, this reflects the reality that just about every elected Democrat thinks a couple big things: 1. They can beat Trump, and 2. The best-known Democratic prospects, former Vice President Joe Biden, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, Massachusetts Senator Elizabeth Warren, all have good reasons they might not run, which could mean a truly wide-open race. After all, another Maryland Democrat, former Governor Martin O'Malley, also looks likely to run. Why do even Delaney's allies admit he is an extreme long shot? Beyond his lack of a national profile, Delaney is well to the right of the Democratic primary electorate, including his support for the Trans-Pacific Partnership trade deal. He previously pushed minimum wage hikes, but for amounts short of the $15 an hour that progressives have sought, and Delaney now says he backs. He has proposed allowing businesses to repatriate money earned overseas without paying taxes in exchange for buying infrastructure bonds. I don't really see it, but I think if he does this he will try to be the solutions candidate aimed at making Washington work again, said one Democratic strategist who has worked with Delaney. He has a record of creating thousands of jobs as the CEO of 2 publicly traded companies that he built from scratch after being raised in a union household in New Jersey, the strategist said. Delaney could also spend millions of his own dollars on a race. Democrats won a huge healthcare victory in the wee Friday morning hours. So what next? Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders plans to introduce his single-payer health insurance bill, Medicare for All, as he'll cast it, in September, an aide told CNN. The big question is which Democratic 2020 prospects will support it. Already, Warren and New York Senator Kirsten Gillibrand have embraced single-payer. California Senator Kamala Harris expressed support for the concept in May, when she said health care access should not be a function of your income, and again in July, but cautioned the details are key. The Democratic base will demand she and others weigh in on the issue and on Sanders' bill, and it's likely to be a central issue in the 2020 nominating contest. Single-payer is absolutely the price of admission for our 2020 nominee both morally and politically, one Democratic operative said. A more skeptical operative said the party's 2020 primary could be a suicidal litmus test on single-payer. Warren was among the Democrats in Berryville, Virginia, to roll out a new agenda for the midterm this week. It was all economic populism, all the time, with a big antitrust emphasis. Where'd that come from? Read this June 2016 Warren speech at a New America think tank event, and you'll see her fingerprints all over it. Gillibrand has said she's not running in 2020. But many Democrats don't believe her, and see her as a strong contender. Gillibrand's biggest weakness, which some operatives told me they see her actively working to address, is that she was a moderate blue dog in the House whose previous positions on guns and same-sex marriage could prove problematic with the progressives. Seth Moulton is Massachusetts rep. Is profiled by Politico's Michael Kruse as an insider who's an outsider. Focused heavily on Kruse's military record, he went to Iraq 4 times. Kruse finds those who know him speaking of a White House run as more of a question of when than if. I'm not running for president, man, Moulton said. Mitch Landrieu is tamping down speculation that he might run for president in 2020, sort of, at least in the present tense. The answer to the question is I'm not running for president, Landrieu told David Axelrod. New Orleans mayor is stamping down speculation that he might run for president in 2020, sort of. At least in the present tense. The answer to the question is I'm not running for president, Landry Wu told David Axelrod on the X-Files, a podcast from the University of Chicago Institute of Politics and CNN. You'd never rule out running for anything, you never say never about anything, but I'm not running. Andrew Cuomo is the rare Democrat who almost never says President Donald Trump's name, a weird tactic for a big state governor in a party fueled by resisting Trump. He blasted Trump's decision to ban transgender Americans from military service as a Washington directive. New York is the rare Democrat who almost never says president's name, a weird tactic for a big state governor in a party fueled by resisting Trump. He blasted Trump's decision to ban transgender Americans from military service as a Washington directive. The New York Times' Shane Goldmacher notes, as a general rule, I haven't found nasty ad hominem attacks on a person whose cooperation is needed to help your state especially helpful, Cuomo told Goldmacher. Calls for an African American on the ticket expecting they could still be in Washington voting on health care. Senators all kept their schedules open for the next week. Before you go, this story has been updated.